Hi, students. This is week 6 announcements. I didn't realize I didn't do fifth. I just thought I did them all every week. This pandemic makes you kind of in a fugue state. Anyway, so the midterm exam is coming up, and just a second. Every time I start talking on these, I get a scratch in my throat. I have to cough. It's not the pandemic. So the midterm exam's coming up. What I've figured out I'm going to do is offer it. It's going to be open from pretty much the morning of the 9th, which is a Friday, and then that whole weekend until the end of the day on Sunday. So you've got the specific times in there if you want to check them, but 9 a.m., 11:59 p.m. So it gives you a few days to do it. I don't think anybody should have any problem finding 2 hours somewhere in there to take the exam. Unfortunately, it will be. I say unfortunately because I've had to take proctored exams before and they're nerve-wracking, but you'll get through it. Honor Lock is what we're using. It's Proctor Track when I took it. It works the same way though. You're going to need a webcam, microphone, and you should have a decent internet connection too. These are all things that you need to have in order to take the class in the first place online. If you check the syllabus, I'm making an announcement about all this, by the way. I just kind of want to talk to you about it too. So honor track, honor lock, Proctor Lock, honor track, honor lock is who we're using. They have a practice exam that they offer. So what you'll do is take that, and if you can take that practice exam successfully, then you know it'll work for you. I'm going to count that to give you an incentive to actually do it, so you don't wait till the last minute. Take it as soon as you can. I should probably put an ending date on it. I might do that actually. If I do, I'll update my announcement. But it's going to count as a reading quiz bonus. If I didn't make it a bonus, I'll go back and check. But I did make it a bonus, I think. So it'll add to your reading exams, your reading quizzes grade, that category. And that's just to make sure you guys take it, and so we can figure out if there's going to be any problems beforehand. So just in general, when you're doing this proctoring stuff, you want to make sure that you organize with the people you live with to like maybe take care of dogs and kids and just get a quiet spot. You'll be asked to do a scan of your room, and this is all in the readings and the videos and stuff. So, but anyway, you'll need to like if you have a built-in webcam on your laptop, you need to pick up your laptop and show around the room 360 degrees that you don't have stuff to cheat off with, right? So also I did make it where you're allowed to have scratch paper. Let me just show you. I have it here somewhere. I took a video when I set it up. So it'll record your webcam and your screen and the web traffic. You'll need a photo of yourself. It'll take a photo of you. And then you need a student ID. It could be any government issued ID, but if you have, I think you guys should have a Pellissippi one. I prefer that you use that, honestly, but you can use anything that is a government issued ID. You'll do a room scan and copy paste, and printing's disabled. Those are the things that I set. And then I also made it to where you're allowed to have scratch paper. So if you have scratch paper, just lay it out with your pencil, pen, whatever, where whoever's monitoring can see it when you do your room scan. So I'll make a link to this or something. I'll just make a link to it probably, so you guys can read it from Google Docs. So there's a PDF that kind of goes through for a student taking honor lock exams, how they work. There's a short video that describes the process. You'll have to use Chrome, and you have to install an extension, a Chrome extension, in order to make it all work. Yeah, Chrome is required though. If you use other browsers, they won't work. Also, I have scheduled a Zoom meeting here. I just copied and pasted the details from Zoom when you create it. So for office hours, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start this meeting. And if you guys want to just drop in for any reason during office hours, even if you just want to chat, I mean, like, it's the pandemic, so sometimes it's good to get out of your house. I don't know. Around East Tennessee, we're not so cooped up as we could be, but it depends on case-by-case basis probably. But if you have any questions about things as well, If you want to ask things in private, we can arrange some other way to do that. But if you just want to, like, maybe, 2 or 3 of you might be in office hours and there might be something to talk about. I haven't got these office hours divided up per class yet, so there might be people from other classes in there. I might need to reconsider how I do it, but the whole point of office hours is I'm available at different times for people in different classes. So maybe there's a guy in your class who can only come at the very late night one because of work or something, and there's somebody in another class who can only do that too. So it's not something I can like restrict to one course. But always, if you need individual help, and some of you have done this, just let me know and I can usually arrange to make a short meeting with you outside of office hours to help you with something. I think that covers the Zoom meeting, office hours, and the honor lock stuff. Again, take that practice. That's the key thing right there. This practice exam, take it as soon as possible so we can figure out if there are any problems. So office hours are today, 6:30 something. I can't remember the exact time. Let's look. I need to paste these on my wall so I can just look and see when they are. 5:30 to 6:30. Okay, sooner than I thought. So, and then of course these other times. Just a little bit of feedback about the PP, the paired programming is what it's called, but we call it programming exercises, number 3 that I just graded. So, on the first one where you're doing a salary, most people did okay with it. I think you just had to realize that you have a while loop that's set on the hours, and you'd either do just regular hours if there's no overtime, or you have to calculate the overtime and print it out. There's 2 different ways you could have done the loop. You could have done a do while, which frankly I don't like do whiles. Way back in the day, I was told that they're like pretty much you can write one as the other anytime pretty much, and so I just memorized while loops. But honestly, for this one, it's probably, if you understand how a do while works, it's probably a little more intuitive, because if you don't do a do while loop and you do a while loop, you'll have to do something called a prime read. What that is, you prompt the user for the number of hours, get them, and then start the loop with the condition of the hours being greater than 0. Then you get the rate inside the loop, right? And then you calculate overtime or not, print out the answer, and then you have to prompt again like you did before you started the loop, but inside the loop at the end. So one way to think of it is like I equals 0 before the loop starts, I is less than some number, and then do everything in the loop, and then I++. It's kind of like that, but your plus plus is another read in this case. And this is an example of a sentinel loop. Whereas with the do while, you just flip everything upside down, and you only have to do the read once. You kind of do everything in order in the loop the way you expect it, and it checks the hours at the end. Though I think you probably have to put maybe a little bit more in. Yeah, you have to make sure that the hours, you have to use an if statement to make sure the hours are greater than 0. So to me, that's not quite as intuitive as the other way, because once you understand a prime read, I think it gets a little easier. So, but like I said, most of you did okay on that. The powers of 2, the main thing to realize is that you start with 0. Anything to the 0th power is 1. So you just kind of hard code that in. You start with your result being 1. The thing that you're printing out along with the exponent, and then your exponent is basically just the loop. If you start at 0, then you're going to print out I, if I is equal to 0 in your loop. On the first iteration, print out I right away, and then print out the power, which starts at 1. You have actually not done any computation. You've just set each thing. You're kind of setting both as a starting place, right? Your what's the word for it? It's not the same as recursion, but your base case. Your base case is that the exponent is 0 and the answer is 1. You just print that out right away. Then you compute the power times equals 2. And then on the next iteration of the loop, you print out what you computed in the last iteration. So some people didn't kind of see that right off. It really shouldn't take more than like 10 lines if you do it. And the loop itself really is just, it's 2 lines inside the body. For C, it was just kind of like, it's kind of a continuation of the other one. It's just something that's a little different. The thing that's involved here that's different is that you get really big numbers very quickly. You get really big numbers exponentially too, which is what the other one is. You're doing exponential growth on that one, 2 to the 1, 2 first, 2 squared, 2 cubed, and then so on. That grows very quickly, but what grows even more quickly is factorial. And the key thing about the factorial is, like, most of you would put the double as where you get the answer that you're computing, and that's big enough to like handle really big numbers. Then you would just need to print it out so it doesn't look like a floating point, because you are within the realm of integers. You're multiplying integers together, so you should never get fractional parts. Another thing you could have done, I didn't actually write this. I should write another version of the answer here, but would be an unsigned long, but you haven't learned about those yet. An unsigned long means you can go up to numbers that are 2 to the 61st minus 1. And I think that's big enough, because I think it's like 2 quintillion something. It's the 20 factorial, and 2 to the 64th minus 1 is up in 18 quintillion. But somebody can double check me on that. I should not even talked about it before I verified it, but yeah, double check me on that. But that was the other thing you could have done. And the last thing, the biggest issue I saw with this, and I've seen this many times, you should only declare one variable, and that variable is a character. And that character will be whatever the person enters, whether it's an H or a little h, L, little l, Q, little q. Those are the only things those are the only values you're going to look at, and those and your one character you have, like, could be called choice, option, selection, wood type, whatever it is, floor type. You only need that one variable. I saw a lot of people like declare char, h, little h, L, big L, big E, little e. You don't have to do that. Those are what you're doing is you're making a variable for each potential value of the one choice, that you can reuse that choice over and over again in a loop. You don't have to make a different variable for each possibility. So I saw that a lot, and I've seen it before in previous semesters. So you want to get clear on this right now, that the difference between what a variable can hold as a value and a variable not being a value. It's kind of hard to explain what I mean, but yeah, you should only have one character. We pronounce it char usually, and it's short for character, but it's pronounced char because it looks like char. So char space option, for example, that's all you needed. And then you would have a to handle the cases. There's different ways you can do this in C++, but what you've learned so far is fall through. So just do the case big H and case little h being the same result. You ordered hardwood and then break. To handle the quitting, you would do the same thing as with the other letters, big Q, little q, as cases, fall through, and then just break. Otherwise, you have a default where you have an invalid choice if they put X or something in, right? So, and if you just put a break with nothing but break for the quitting, then of course, and this is another thing I want to talk about. This is a pretty long video actually, but what I want to talk about with the loop, it's kind of counterintuitive sometimes, and I think I might have mentioned this before, maybe I can remember saying this recently, but the English can get you in trouble here. And it seems like most people, maybe it was gone over in a video. I usually see more errors with this at this point, but I just want to warn you, if you weren't warned already, English can get you in trouble when it comes to Booleans with and or, because English it's not strictly logical the way we talk. So for example, you might say, while the choice is not Q, or while the choice is not Q, big Q or little q. That's how you would say it. I want to keep iterating this loop, asking for floor types while the choice that's being entered is not big Q or little q. And you say it really quick, big Q or little q. First of all, you can't just say while choice is not equal to big Q and then or and then little q. And of course, single quotes around these, right? Because these are character values. I kind of wish I could show what I'm talking about here. Because what will happen is Q is not 0, the little q is not 0, and it will always be true, and your loop will go forever. And on the other side, where you say the choice is not equal to big Q, that may or may not be true sometimes. But if you do or Q, Q just by itself is a value that's true. What you really want to do is, while the choice is not equal to big Q, or the choice is not equal to little q. So you have to repeat you have to be long-winded about it. You have to say choice not equal to big Q, choice not equal to little q. And I said or because I'm continuing with the error in logic. You shouldn't actually have or there. And I'll explain that in a second when I guess when I get to it. So actually, let me just go ahead and do it. You should have and. And here's how you want to read this in English to make it logically consistent with logic, with Boolean logic. I want to keep asking the user for flooring codes like H and whatever, as long as the flooring code they put in is not the indication that they want to quit, which is either a big Q or a little q. And the way you say this is keep iterating the loop as long as the choice is not big Q and also the choice is not little q. And because it could be not big Q, right? Because but on the other hand, they could put little q in. So if you do an or, one could be true while the other one's not, and you'll get an infinite loop. You want to make sure that they don't put either of them in. So you want to make sure it's not equal to big Q, and at the same time, it's not equal to little q. Because, for instance, if they put in a little q, then the choice is not equal to big Q, and that's true. And if you have an or in there, if anything's true, it'll keep executing. Think about what I'm saying a little bit. Maybe write it out. Put if you didn't do it this way, if you did it correct the first time, I'd still like you to see how you can do it wrong by putting an or instead of an and. It's related to something in Boolean logic called De Morgan's law. Maybe look at that, and it'll make a little bit more sense. Maybe watch one of those cute YouTube videos that explains it in English, what De Morgan's law is. I think that's enough review of this. The only other item I have in the announcements, I probably won't write this in an announcement, but I did push back the due dates. I feel like you've been piled up on a little bit on the labs, and we have a little bit of room before the midterm. I'm kind of going by Professor Arnold's schedule initially, but I know that she's having her exam on the 1st of October, and we're not having it that soon, so that gives you a little bit more time to work on the stuff before that's due. So if you check the dates, they've been moved back a little bit. I think, well, to Fridays, I think. I did both the labs back. So basically, the first day of the exam is when your lab 2 is due. And this lab you're on right now is not due till Friday instead of this Wednesday. If you have any questions about any of these announcements, let me know. I might make a follow-up announcement if I forgot something. Apologize for not doing one last week. I just when I looked, I'm like, week 4 is it week 5? No, I know it's week 6. Oh, I didn't do one last week, so I apologize for that. But again, if you have any questions, send me an email or show up in office hours or what have you. Thanks.